Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today I want to talk to you about, well, another one of my absolute total utter favourite children's books, and that is Richard Scarry's best bumper book ever. Now I'm having trouble actually fitting it in the frame. It certainly wasn't going to fit on my shelf as is customary back there, but it is as large as it is. It's also played a very large role in my I suppose my formative sort of pre-high school years. Although to be honest, I still adore this book today, and what it means to me. Now, there's a certain pattern with some of the stuff that I've shown you in the past few videos, or over the past year or so. For example, the Mask TV series. I really loved Mask and the Mask toys because they had a certain coolness and believability about them. I really enjoyed Transformers because, again, there's something logical to them, and I didn't like, for example, the Megatron toy because that just made no sense. How did it shrink down, this mass transformation from being a giant robot to being a gun that you can hold in your hand? So I've always been a fairly logical, or certainly was when I was a child, fairly unforgivingly logical child. And Richard Scarry actually catered for that in a way which I wasn't ready for, and in a way which actually I want to share with you today. So I'm not going to spoil anything else about this book. Let's just dive in. So here we have Richard Scarry's best bumper book ever. This is such a special book for me, and you can see that I've loved it quite a lot over the years. The spine is a little bit delicate, and in particular this is actually a compendium of 3 books. There is the What People Do Every Day, there is an alphabet, and also there's a story collection. But it's What People Do Every Day that really captured me and my attention as a child. It was the details of everyday life, and also the fact that he cared. This man and these illustrations really care about what's happening in each image and the logic of how it's occurring, and we'll come to this in a moment. But What People Do Every Day has some wonderful details. So here in the opening scroll, we're still inside the cover of the book. We have the town hall, post office, hotel, detective agency, watch repairs, newsstand, newspaper reporter. We have a janitor, trash cans there being taken out. We have a photographer, secretary, an operator for the phone, story writer, artist, poet. The details just captivated me. I could not stop looking at these images when I was a child, and also following the logic of each picture. So, for example, the water coming out of the fire hydrant here and flowing down into the sewage pipe, which goes to the sewage plant. We have the manhole cover where the fox is working on a telephone cable, which is red and white, electric cable for the lamppost, which is green and white. He's patching that up with some tape. We also have, he's laying some blue and white cable, and we're not quite sure what that's for. We have the bank. Someone's just spilled some money as they're leaving the bank. Above it, a dressmaker, a beauty parlour, a real estate office, eye doctor, doctor, dentist. So the doctor there is a lion treating a rabbit. That's a bit scary. Every single page is just crammed with detail. For example, here we have everyone is a worker, a mother's work is never done, which actually goes on for pages and pages, which is quite right. You know, mums work very hard, or indeed so do dads. A voyage on a ship, where again we have all this stuff being delivered at the beginning of a voyage. As a child, you'd never normally think about this, would you? Bread coming in the bread-shaped car. I wish so much that that people had to deliver things in thematic vehicles. So bread, egg, apples, water, cheese. There's some blue cheese there. Don't know if you can see that. Some mail being delivered, fuel going in, and I say the water's going into the ship, and everything's ready for the voyage. And as the voyage continues, what we get actually is in the intricacies of how the ship actually works. So the captain sends down a signal from the wheelhouse, this chain moves, which gives a signal to the engine room, whoever's in charge there, the officer, and you can see this smoke leaves via the exhaust pipe, goes up through the funnel, but then air's coming in, and that helps the pistons to fire. It's using fuel, and all of this drives the crankshaft, which drives the propeller, which he's also drawn a little diagram here showing that the propeller acts as a screw. And actually, propellers on ships are often called screws, like a twin screw, for example, is a type of ship. It's going a bit quickly though, because you can see the masts bent back, and also the water's flying out the back of the ship. But everything's here. You've got the bunks for the crew, you've got the cabins for the people staying on board, playroom for the kids, the kitchen, the galley, or the dining room. A car has been stored upside down in the car storage. But again, even that makes sense. You've got the cargo hatch, and it goes all the way down to the bottom. And that's how they're being lowered in. Baggage hold, mail, everything is here. The chart room for navigation. Again, these are details that didn't have to be in a book like this. For children of my age at the time, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, no, not even 8 or 9, 6 or 7 when I first got this, I think. 5, 6, 7. These are details which didn't have to be there for a child my age, but which I completely and utterly, totally adored. Visiting the hospital, the life of a fireman, a train trip. So we've got the different things happening here, and again, all the necessaries for train travel. So we've got the goods for the kitchen, we've got the mail for the mail bag, we've got the fuel for the. It's the logic, the internal logic of how this world works, wood and how we use it. The logs being chopped up, being dragged to the river, being taken down river, sadly there's a bit of a blockage just here, and going to a sawmill, being chopped up into smaller bits. Everything's driven by the water. You see the saw going up and down, which also drives the table saw, and you see even the mechanism here for the dump bin, for the truck to take planks away. But also as well, bits of wood are used in the paper mill. And we have everything. We have here the paper being chipped, or the wood being chipped, digested, chemicals being added, beaten, mixed, and then dried out, rolled flat and turned into paper. It's all here for you to see. And I appreciated this so much because it's intricate. I suppose I was one of those children who really loves intricacy. So for example here, to open, the coal goes up, the side of the wagon is opened and then closes as it goes along here. These little this attention to detail, these little details are what I thrived on. And in particular, I really remember this, building a new road. I pored over these images so much as a child. So we've got the chief engineer sat at a desk which is shaped like a digger, or bulldozer, quite like that, earth mover. We have Busy Town and Workville, which want to be connected by a road. At the moment, the road is bumpy, and they want a smooth road instead. So the chief engineer takes on the job. First of all, they survey what's going on, which is fantastic. This is fantastic. Again, there's the details which go into it. They're showing surveying in a children's book in a way which is so accessible, and also in a way which I understood even as a young child. We have the beginning of things like drainage going in after the road's been flattened out. And then other layers are put down, so sand, then so there's like a form of asphalt. Bridges are built with a keystone, which has been labelled on the bridge there. A good road, here's the engineer telling you, has a nice sort of camber, so the water flows off the road to each side into the ditches. And here, this is the picture. This is the one which I absolutely adore. Now, it may be hard to see, and this is incredibly geeky to have noticed it as a child, but we have all the different stages of the road being built. So we have the lighting going in from the Firefly Lighting Company. We have this guy trying it out on roller skates. I'm not sure if that's standard practice. We have the signage going in. We have the safety cordons and the safety barriers there. The road's being painted. People are preparing to serve customers with a snack bar. You see how a petrol station works, petrol being delivered, the storage tank there, so on and so forth. But also here, despite the accident, and this is why we need safety barriers, we have the safety barriers going in. Now you'll notice there's one on the end, and what we need is two middle ones, which are straight edged, and then one round edged one, but just like here and just like there, to go at the end. So we have here a straight edged one, which will go there, another one there, which will go here, and then a little curved one with a rounded edge, which will go there. This little bit of gorgeousness just here is exactly why I love this book and why I love Richard Scarry. I noticed that we'd need 3 pieces to go in there, and thankfully his logic and his way of creating these books paid off that noticing. In other words, if you're a child who paid attention, Richard Scarry cared about you. And this is why I love this book. We also have here all the traffic waiting to use the road. They're really impatient, and the poor policeman, Sergeant Murphy, trying to keep everyone at bay before the road is ready. I mean, they're really chomping at the bit to get going. Water. Have the water flowing down from the mountains, coming in the river, the dam, the electricity generator. We have the wind powering the windmill there. Water purification, successive filters going on before it can be drunk and used in for example, baths and drinking and cooking and cleaning. We have the heating system in the house. We then go on to the ABC and so forth. But this, my friends, this is precisely why I love Richard Scarry. It is the attention to detail, and it's the fact that he respected you. Even as a really young child, he respects his audience, and also keeps this sort of beautiful internal logic. He never really breaks the internal logic, and that is something which I really appreciated as a child, and which I still appreciate to this day. I'm hoping to be able to get a copy of this book to share with my kids, if and when I have any kids, or we have any kids. It's also worthwhile talking about Lowly Worm. I love Lowly Worm. He is kissing a little bird on the lips or on the beak. He turns up in all sorts of stories. So, for example, let's see, here he is in a loaf of bread. He's crawled his way into a loaf of bread just there, and he's one of my favourite characters from Richard Scarry's books. So the combination of Lowly Worm, as I say, this attention to detail, which I, as a child who noticed so much in the world around me, I really appreciated the fact that Richard Scarry knew that there would be children out there who would just lap this up. I really appreciate that, and hopefully you guys do too. Yeah, so hopefully you can see why it is that I loved and indeed love Richard Scarry's best bumper book ever. Yes, there were wonderful elements in terms of the ABC and the stories in here as well, but in particular, I was so enamoured with the logic, with the internal consistency of the world that he created, and also with the fact that he paid attention to details which most people don't even notice. For example, going on that cruise ship, most passengers don't think about the necessaries for travelling across the ocean, but I certainly, as a boy, and indeed now, I notice things like engineering details, like what exactly is being loaded onto the ship as I'm boarding. And well, at least I would do. I've never actually been on a cruise, but for example, when I'm flying. And Richard Scarry really catered for that, and presumably he must have been a very similar and observant young boy as well when he was a child. So I simply had to share this. Richard Scarry, and in particular his book on what people do every day, what people do all day, as it were, is magnificent. And if you haven't heard about it, hopefully I brought it to your attention. There you go. As ever, guys, I try to share the things that I'm passionate about on this YouTube channel, and this is one of those things which is a bit esoteric, is a little bit unexpected, but which I could not be more passionate about, even though it won't fit on most of my bookshelves. Anyway, as ever, until next time, whatever you get up to, do take care. Bye-bye.